Hey, and welcome to the channel. I'm Daniel, and here we explore practical gardening, DIY projects, and sustainable living. I'm here to meet you where you are and show you how to repurpose old items and junk from your garage or home to build creative infrastructure for growing food as simply and as easily as possible. And as a solar punk enthusiast, I don't believe anything is waste. Every piece has the potential to become something new, innovative, and productive. Because here, we don't just think outside the box, we build beyond the box. Welcome to Beyond the Box Gardens.
All right, guys. I apologize for my absence. I know it's been a little while since I posted, but life has been busy for me. A lot of things going on in my life. My son Eli, he's out of school, so have to focus on the priorities that need to be focused on, because he is important. He is the most important thing to me, aside from my wife and my dog. And he comes first. Today we got a little bit of work to do. I'm attaching this toothbrush to this because we need to go and pollinate some flowers on our tomato bushes. And then we got to get some peas. You can see that our lettuce blew all the way up, and we actually we've been eating lettuce constantly for a month or so now, and we haven't been able to eat it as fast as we need to before the inevitable outbreak of aphids. We have some aphids in here. I don't know if I'll be able to show them because they're so small, but basically everywhere that it's very curled up like this is where some aphids have taken hold. And I expected it. You can see the little sugar ants. They farm the aphids. Aphids secrete like a sugary substance when they eat. They suck on the sap from the lettuce. And the ants farm it. You can see this one's fat. He got a fat butt even sucking off the aphids. But this lettuce has done really well this year. What we're gonna do later is we're going to cut back, or we're gonna cut as much as we can to harvest as much as we can, put in the bag, put in the refrigerator, and eat off of it. But we're gonna be chopping all this out, pulling all of this out, treating all of this with some pyrethrin and neem oil, letting it sit for a couple of days, and then we're gonna start on some other crops. I wish these crows would be quiet, honestly. We're gonna start on some other crops, maybe some chard, maybe some kale in here. I'm not sure really just yet. These crows are so obnoxious, I'm not gonna lie. Obnoxious crow. Right now, what we need to do is we need to get our peas off the pea plants before they get hard and starchy. And then we're gonna do some pollinating on our flowers over here in our tomato bush. These things have blown up like crazy. We got more down here. We got all types of tomatoes that are coming already. And we're gonna keep pollinating them with our toothbrush so we can get even more. We got our beans over here that are outrageous. They haven't even started producing beans yet, and they look like this. So first things first, I'm the realist, and I'm gonna be probably doing my videos in a much more laid-back fashion now for a while, because we're kind of in production mode at this point with our plants. And it's been warm, so these guys have definitely gotten pretty thick. We're gonna be doing our videos a little bit more laid back, you know. I'm not gonna be doing very much more intense editing because I don't know. It's one of those things. And these crows are absolutely obnoxious. Shut up! So I'm gonna be just kind of doing a laid back talk with you guys about things that are going on, about things we got going on in our garden while we garden. I've been trying to figure out, honestly, how to get monetized, to make my videos engaging, to make my videos cool, and, you know, get people to watch them and all that kind of stuff. And the most amount of views I've ever gotten on a video at this point is about 57. At least that's, you know, for this long form content stuff. And you know, at the same time that is happening, you know, that I'm not really getting a whole lot of views, you got people on YouTube being demonetized heavily. So I'm like, you know, people are actively being demonetized. You know, I'm trying to get monetized, make my videos cool and engaging and all that. I may just be wasting my time with a whole lot of extra additional editing. These peas are gigantic, good Lord. So, for a while, we're just gonna be doing some laid back gardening, some laid back talking. I may or may not have music on this video. You can see everything over here is blowing up. We got kale and collard green in there. Got more beans, and I finished my my fountain not long ago. My wife and my son are gonna be painting it and making it look pretty, but the fountain is to help for the pollinators to come, for the birds to come and help out our garden, along with all the nasturtium in here and stuff. Because when it gets hotter this summer, when it inevitably gets hotter because of this El Nino, the super El Nino, the Godzilla El Nino, the birds and bees, they're all gonna get very thirsty. We're not worried about the bees, we're more worried about the birds that are gonna get thirsty, and they're gonna be looking for water, especially in the late summer in August. And that's when you get birds starting to peck and eat your fruit from your tomatoes and other plants. So I wanted to build a water source for them so that whenever they do, they don't go after our plants. Hopefully these peas are still okay. I'm gonna try one here in a minute. They got a little big on us because it got warm. And like I said, it sucks because peas are one of those very fleeting crops. These are our carrots, by the way. Denver's half long, and then these ones are Royal Chantilly. But no, I'm not gonna be editing this video at all. It's just gonna be a, you know, put it in the intro like I do, and then we're gonna stack whatever I stack, because I'll be going to the plot today as well. And the plot is the plot is making me anxious, honestly. There's a lady there who has a bunch of squash, butternut squash, I think, maybe some spaghetti squash. There you go. Look at that. Good God, that's big. Oh, I hope it's still good. Man, that thing's big. Whew. They hide from you. But she has some squash plants over there, some zucchini that she's not treating. And she has cucumber beetles. And sure enough, because of that, the cucumber beetles are spreading throughout the entire community garden. I wouldn't care, you know, I did plant strategically plants that are a little bit more, stand up a little bit more against bugs and pests, diseases. So I just did the potatoes and the corn over there. But the cucumber beetles are spreading. So I'm hoping that I can hit them with the mixture of pyrethrin and neem oil to at least protect my crops a bit, because they do affect corn. Holy monkey. That's sweet as hell. What? Now I have been using shade cloth over there. Wow. So I think the shade cloth has helped. That's good. Wow. Yummy. Yum, yum, yum. Oh. I was concerned. Was it good? I'm probably I'm just gonna freeze these. Or my son will eat them. I'm gonna do some pollinating when he's talking to you. So, you see the weather? This is the weather that you want to pollinate in if you're using this technique. If it's too cold, the pollen, of course, it won't take as well. If it's too hot, you'll get cat face. This is perfect weather. It's about 70 degrees, overcast, cloudy, so we can pollinate. There's not a ton of stress on my flowers and plants. Let's make them drop. So let's do it. So yeah. We're gonna go over there to the plot today, and we're gonna do what we need to do over there and take care of our plants there. You can see our big sunflowers. These are mammoth sunflowers, and they are looking phenomenal. Our beets are looking phenomenal. We got a couple rutabaga in there as well. I had to hit all these guys with some neem oil and pyrethrin because they started to get these leaf miners. You can see the damage, and I think that I got them. I think that they have since kind of crawled out of the leaf. I'm squeezing and I don't feel anything pop. But I think that I was able to save these guys. Every year it's leaf miners, you know, and it's taken a while to dial in what I need to dial in to be able to deal with those leaf miners. And then over here, of course, we got our cucumbers, and then back there we got another butternut squash. We got the corn, and this corn is not doing well. That one back there is doing really well. It's right over this in-ground compost, so a lot of nutrients for all these guys to take in. And I don't know, I feel like this somehow or another might be a tomatillo plant. I don't know why, I don't know how, but we're gonna see what happens when it flowers. If it's tomatillo, I might leave it. If not, I'm probably gonna pull it out, but it's growing in like a tomatillo. Anyway, let's get to pollinating these flowers. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on, you know, just trying to keep up with life, trying to keep up with, you know, childcare, being a dad, showing up for my son. He's out of school, of course, so he's enjoying his little summer vacation. He don't gotta go to school. All he gotta do is sit around, play video games, play with toys, hang out with me, you know. And I've been kind of let him live. You know, it's his, honestly, like I said, it's not his first real summer vacation, but as you get older and as you you know, start to have more responsibility in school and at home, these breaks kind of mean a little bit more to you, you know. And I remember how I was when I was a kid. I was so excited about summer vacation. And then sure enough, you know, my summer vacation consisted of setting up yard sales and garage or yard sales for my mom, doing chores around the house, fixing stuff, cleaning stuff. So I never really had a real summer vacation. At least when, you know, of course, I went to Kansas City to visit my dad. My parents, of course, they were divorced, of course. But on the summers when I didn't get to go, which weren't very many, you know, all I would do was work at home. And it's given I worked when I was in Kansas City as well with my dad in carpentry, which is why, you know, I'm good at what I do now. But that was a little bit different than working at home with my mom, you know, just at the house, you know, going to Kansas City. I got to, you know, meet different people, see different lives. You know, we did a lot of traveling through Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas, even Nebraska, Des Moines, or Iowa, there we go, Nebraska and Iowa to do work. Those were good times for me, you know. So I'm trying my best to allow my son to enjoy his little summer vacation and have some fun. And, you know, some people will say, oh yeah, well, you got to teach him how to work early. You know, the thing is, I get that statement, but I was one of the people, one of the kids, one of the boys that was raised with that philosophy. I started working when I was 8 years old. And say, oh, you didn't work. All you did was play in the dust, you vacuum. It says, like, no, I worked. I was there for the whole 8 to 12 hours with y'all doing the thing. You know, just because I wasn't, you know, pulling lumber and, you know, throwing sheetrock all the whole time doesn't mean that I wasn't working. I was 8 years old. My son is 8 right now. My son, Eli, is 8 years old right now. And I couldn't even imagine him doing what I was doing when I was 8. There's no concept of him being able to do the things that I did when I was 8 years old. I couldn't conceptualize that. And as a result, I burnt out, man. I'm not gonna lie. From 8 to 36, I worked. I worked at home in Arkansas on stuff for my mom. I worked in Kansas City in carpentry with my dad. I worked constantly. I worked in my schooling. I worked to get an education, to become self-sufficient and self-reliant. I worked. And at a certain point, you get burnt out, man. The thing is, like, it's like you know, as much as like, oh yeah, you know, you're supposed to learn how to do these things, become self-sufficient and everything, there has to be a balance, you know? There has to be a balance. recording. Don't touch the lens. I've been trying to record videos. I've been trying to record for a couple weeks now, and either it's just been too hot to record, you know, without sweating my freaking eyes out, or something random happens, like, oh, I got a big smudge on my lens and I can't use the footage, so on and so forth, you know. And then at the same time, because it's summer, I have a whole, you know, set of responsibilities that I didn't have when Eli was in school, you know. I gotta make sure that he's okay, make sure that he's doing all right, make sure that he's fed, make sure that he's played with, spend time with. And there's not enough time for a lot of these things, you know. That's why I haven't been posting, because doing this YouTube thing takes a lot of time, takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of focus. And then, of course, like I said before, I've decided to just kind of put a little less effort into all the editing that I've been doing. The editing takes weeks sometimes, and I'm not even monetized yet. You know, I'm not even close to being monetized. And doing all that work for 40, 50 views that I'm not even monetized for, I have to prioritize accordingly, you know, because I got other things that I need to do. I got other responsibilities. So these videos are gonna be kind of raw going forward, at least for the foreseeable future. Because I don't have enough time to do all the editing and all the making stuff look pretty and everything else, you know, especially if I hope to, you know, get videos out in any reasonable time, you know. Let's talk a little bit about what we're doing here. This is I guess you can call it this is a more or less, you know, well-known technique at this point, to use Sonic Care toothbrush, like I'm doing, to buzz the tomato flowers. And the Sonic Care vibration, it's not just Sonic Care at this point, there are other brands, but Sonic Care is one we have here. The vibration of the toothbrush mimics the flap and the buzz of a bumblebee, of a bee. Oh, look at me! Hi! Oh, another butterfly! Oh, hi, bee! Oh, man. I love it. I've been seeing more butterflies around. But the buzzing of the toothbrush mimics the vibration of the flap of the bee, and it causes the flowers of the tomatoes to spit out their pollen, and they are as such able to pollinate the flowers around them. Unfortunately, of course, with the reduction in bee population on Earth, there aren't as many bees that like, or should I say, there aren't as many bees around, and the bees don't really go for tomato flowers. I'm not sure why. The tomatoes, of course, have plenty of pollen. You can see it spitting out as I'm buzzing these flowers. But I don't know if the flowers actually have very much nectar and that's what the bees are actually after. They're after the nectar in the flower. But if there's no nectar, the bees become disinterested. And that's why, as gardeners, we learn these different techniques to pollinate our flowers to get our fruit. And we got a ton of flowers here too. And this is actually a really good day to do this, because as I'm buzzing my flowers and the pollen is getting spat out, it's not getting blown away immediately. And that's what's been happening with this up here in Vancouver, Washington. This weather's extremely dynamic, and there's not very many like calm days. Even on the hot days, the wind blows pretty significantly. Let me see if I can get behind this. And as the wind blows, it's like, oh yeah, we should be able to get some wind pollination. But that wind is so strong sometimes that it's not really pollinating anything. It's just blowing the pollen away. And it's kind of crazy. You can see this. Oh, this, yeah. No, this is a potato plant. Oh man. So what we do, take things into our own hands, get some pollination. You can see the pollen getting spat out. Hopefully the camera is good enough to pick it up, but you can see as I touch it, all that pollen gets shot out and it drifts around, it lands on the leaves and it lands on other flowers. And that's what we want. We don't want this pollen to just get blown away. We want the flowers to be able to get pollinated by the pollen that's fallen down. We got tons of fruit that's already been pollinated down here. But you're like, oh, why aren't you pruning your tomatoes back? Why aren't you pruning? There's so many, this bush is not gonna da-da-da-da-da. No. This back line is cherry tomatoes. You don't prune cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes are a determinate. And, you know, of course, depending on your growing environment, your nutrients, the weather, they're only gonna put out what they're gonna put out. If you start pruning things, you're gonna reduce your yield significantly. In the middle, of course, we have our beefsteak, the middle line. Those are kind of a hybrid between determinate and indeterminate. But the same thing stands with those. If you start pruning them, it signals to them that they're coming up to the end of their life. Bugs and animals are starting to get at them, and they'll start finalizing what they're gonna do. So no, I don't prune anything. And not only do I not prune anything, the biggest thing is people say, oh, you're gonna get disease. Not if you do it right. Everything that I have here is irrigated through drip, or should I say through soaker line. And I have a bunch of soaker line tied around the bottoms of each one of these plants. Not only that, but I've been doing in-ground composting. And remediating my soil really, really well, so that the soil holds on to water really well. I've been, of course, doing leaf mulch and everything else. And as you can see, the result is gigantic plants. These plants are as tall as me. I'm 6'3". In a minute, they're gonna be taller than me. This one here is a branded wine. I'm excited about how these turn out. The branded wine back here. I didn't know that these cherry tomatoes were gonna come up so big. We got some back here already. See, cherry tomatoes, see. Yeah, okay, cherry, branded wine. Beefsteak, okay. But the thing about tomatoes, people, you know, oh, they're so dense. You're not gonna get any fruit because they're too dense and they don't have light. Tomatoes are a subtropical fruit, and they evolved to grow in conditions just like this. Dappled sunlight. Don't believe what the back of the packaging says. Full sun, sure. On the top. But underneath, dappled sunlight. And then not only that, but having very dense tomatoes growing like this, you can see it's green all the way through. I can pull, oh geez, that's a tomato plant. Oh, there's a potato plant. You can see all the way through. This is green all the way through. No problems in here, no disease, not a speck of blight, nothing. Only thing you have way in here is a little bit of yellow leaves because they're not getting sunlight way at the bottom. But tomatoes like this growing environment. It gives them protection, and it also gives them a microclimate. So they're not crazy stressed with all the sunlight and heat. Not only that, but it keeps our soil underneath moist so they don't dry out. Let's see here. We got most of them. We don't need to do every single flower. We'll be doing this multiple times a week as we get more and more flowers. But this is only, let's see, I know I have doubles on some of these plants, but this is only about 9 to 12 total plants. Last year I had 45 plants over there and I didn't have this type of growth. And that's the power of in-ground composting. And of course, having a relatively matured soil in your garden. So we got most of those done. We don't have to do every single one of them. As I said, we're gonna go over here. We got even more. These are, well, let me tell you what these are. We had Cherokee purple, Berkeley tie-dye, she's doing amazing. Beefsteak, cherry tomato, and then you saw the one back there, which is the branded wine. Our beans are going crazy. These were actually supposed to be bush beans. I guess they're right, but they're vining bush beans. So I had to tie some string up until they could vine up, you know, and we're gonna have so many beans. I'm trying not to get overwhelmed, but it's like this area here, I didn't even do in-ground composting. It's benefiting from the in-ground composting over there and over here. Not only that, but this is also the same place where we did our beans last year, and we already fixed a whole bunch of nitrogen because I didn't pull the roots. So those are doing great. These are Blue Lake vining beans going up the side here on the trellis. And then we have Kentucky Wonder that are going up the strings. There's supposed to be some Blue Lake bush in here as well, but I don't know where they are or how to distinguish them from the Kentucky Wonder. We're gonna have beans. And then of course we got our cilantro. We've been using that. It's delicious cilantro. And then all of our butternut squash, they're doing phenomenal. They're a little slow, but they're gonna give us some stuff too. They're right over this in-ground composting trench. You can see we got a bunch of onions that are growing too. We lost a couple. This one might be dying too. But we still have plenty. We have some over here too. It's just been hot. The temperature's kind of been crazy. So I don't know. We have onions all over the place. I'm not really too concerned about it. We have green docks, Roma, and then our tomatillo bushes here. We're gonna get these pollinated as well. You can see these green docks are very polleny, much more so than the others over there. And we really don't have to do a whole lot over here to get our fruit. But we want to help them out because these green docks are some of my favorite tomatoes. They taste like grapes on steroids, like green grapes, but like ultra flavorful. I love them. Back here. You can see over on the other ones, we already have a ton of tomatoes that are growing. We're gonna get them all to maturity. We pollinated a whole bunch of these tomatillos over here. We had a bunch that have taken and that are growing, but I think that you can see oh yeah, I'm using that. I'm using this to do the same thing on these tomatillos. The pollen on the tomatillos is more similar to pollen of a pepper. So they have these really large pollen, you call them pollen granules, that they don't float quite as easily as the tomatoes. And not only that, they don't self-pollinate. You have to have two plants, and that's why we have two plants back here. Oh yeah, we have our broccoli in here. I don't know how this broccoli is gonna do. You can see how it's coming in. These florets aren't really as tight as I want them. They're looking more like they just want a flower versus give us, you know, a broccoli. I may just cut that off and eat it at this point. It's been growing in here for a while. We've had some caterpillar moth issues and some what do you call them, aphids that we've been kind of fighting off. And at a certain point you're just like, all right, I'm not really, you know, I don't really care that much. Broccoli is one of those things where it's like, if you're not growing a whole field of broccoli, you know, what's the point? It tastes good, but that's about it. There's a lot of leaves and a lot of space that it's taking up for like one head of broccoli. These are our pumpkins though. These are our sugar pie pumpkins. This one's not doing super well. This one's doing good. That one's doing good. That's all we need. It's gonna get massive. All right, and these are our aromas back here. We're gonna do a little bit of pollinating. And of course, the reason why I don't know if it's clear yet, but the reason why I tie the toothbrush to this stick is so that we can reach all of our flowers. It's like, oh, well, what's gonna happen whenever you need to harvest? We get in here and we harvest. You know, we try to do as little disrupting to the plant as we can as we pollinate. And like I said, getting in here and roughing up some stuff early could cause problems. You know, I broke this. This is the stalk for this tomatillo, and I had to put a splint on it, some bamboo. So I built this not long ago for trellising of all this stuff. And I accidentally broke our stalk here before I got a chance to tie it up. And we don't want that type of thing to happen. So we try to be as delicate as we can with this stuff as we're tending to them. I want to go on the other side. As you can tell, it's really noisy in this neighborhood, from crows to the continuous lawn mowing. One of our neighbors, they mow their yard at least like once every other day, I think. I'm not kidding about that. And you know, like I said, to each their own, they do what they want, but it's noisy. And like I said, that lawnmower specifically is a noisy lawnmower. I don't know what RPM that they got that thing set at, but that thing is loud. It's loud. All right, I think that's all we're gonna do here. So yeah, everything's looking phenomenal. Our sunflowers are still going crazy, you know. And the thing is, the way that I know that everything is good and balanced and we don't have a whole lot of pest pressure is that our sunflowers are doing well. If we had a whole bunch of pest pressure that I need to deal with, the sunflowers would be the first ones to get taken out, just like what happened over here with these. I had a little population of earwigs that were munching on these guys. They almost died. And I had to, 'cause ultimately I had some bamboo like I had back here, but they had real deep, I had them cut like here, below the knuckle. So they had deep area here to kind of nest in there, and they would come out at night and chew up all of our stuff over here. And I didn't realize that, you know, I didn't do a smart thing. When I realized it, you know, I finally pulled them out, got rid of the earwigs, killed those, and the sunflowers have been doing great ever since. We got an ant right there, got a couple ants. Are y'all eating my sunflower? So here's the thing, you don't want no pests. What happens if you have no pests? What happens is that the beneficial insects won't have anything to eat. If the beneficial insects don't have anything to eat, then if there are pests, they're gonna outpace the population of the beneficial insects. So you need some pest pressure to maintain the population of the beneficial insects. The beneficial insects have to have something to eat. You know, they're not gonna come through here, you know, eat, leave, and then come back. They stay. Here we go again. The beneficial insects create a home. It's just like the birds. And if they have a sustainable food source, they're gonna hang out. They're gonna stay. Same thing over here. You can see our sunflowers are doing super well. We have our nasturtium that are coming back this year. We had a whole bunch of nasturtium last year. They all went to seed, and they've got a whole bunch that are coming back again. Nasturtium is a great trap crop. It's also edible. The whole plant is edible. It's really great for trapping aphids specifically. I'm hoping that we have more down the way. We had some nasturtium down there, but those literally got taken over by aphids. And I had to pull them out. I don't think they ever got to go fully to seed and drop their pods. But down here we did have some that dropped their pods. So, of course, we have beans. We have our collard green and kale. I hit these guys with some neem oil and pyrethrum yesterday, along with our carrots and our beets. So hopefully we can kind of control this, because you can see these guys are getting chiggered up a little bit. You know, you can see little spots. Hopefully, like I said, you want a little bit of control, because if you do let the pests get out of control, they will destroy your stuff. But we didn't do over everything, because we don't want that stuff to hurt the beneficial insects like the bees and everything. But the things that don't flower, for example, the kale, collard green, the carrots, the the beets, those guys aren't gonna flower. The bees aren't really gonna mess with them, so they're not gonna be exposed to the chemicals there, to the insecticide that is. I've been trying to take care of our strawberries a little bit better this year, watering them every day and everything. They didn't give us very much strawberries this year. I didn't have them on the proper irrigation. I still don't. I need to do that. They're still functioning. They're still growing. This here is not a strawberry plant. This is a marionberry plant that I gotta pull out. But our strawberries are still looking all right, you know. Maybe next year we'll have more strawberries. I'm gonna try and get them on some proper irrigation under here so they can properly, you know, set down their roots and give us some berries next year. Usually it takes, you know, 1 or 2 years for a strawberry patch to really give you some good fruit. Of course, we got our zucchini line here. These guys are exploding fast. And then underneath, we got our pepper plants here. We already have a nice little sized pepper in there in the middle. I put these peppers out a while ago just to see what they did, and then I put these zucchini. We're gonna see what happens. I'm not expecting a whole lot. The thing is, it's already difficult to grow peppers up here in this environment because it doesn't really get hot enough for long enough. But you know, we already got a couple peppers, so hey, we'll see what happens. Oh no! Kicked over a solar panel. So maybe that's what I need to do, is tell you about the, oh, come on. I'm gonna tell you about the fountain. The fountain is a solar powered DIY fountain. Most of this is reclaimed. The tube in the middle, these pipes, the main reservoir, and the base and the table, those are all just leftover stuff that we used. Only things that I had to buy were these two. There weren't really you know, I didn't have anything or anything I could find to create these platforms the way that I did. So I just got these for about $14 for the both of them at Fred Meyer. They work well. When the sun's out, this flows and gives us some water for our birds and bees. But everything's looking great. Everything's looking great, you know. It's one of those things, for me, I get anxious because as things are looking really, really great, the pests start to eye the plants, you know, with the big old eye, like, that looks good. So, you know, trying to allow for the garden to balance itself, allow for the wolf spiders and the orb weavers, the praying mantis that we have somewhere on here. I know I have some ladybugs in here somewhere as well, and all those beneficial insects to help us eat and, you know, balance out the system. We're not gonna have no pest damage. I hate when I see online, you know, these super pretty premium gardens, you know, where there's no pest. Oh, look, we got a bee on our, yay, we got a bee on our tomatillos. That's what we want right there. Well, for tomatillos, you want 2 plants and you want your bees to be able to go back and forth, because that's how they pollinate themselves. They pollinate between plants. And bees are the best thing to pollinate your plants, because they're gonna take them in, especially with this type of plant, because as I said before, that pollen is a heavier pollen than the tomatillo. It's not light like the tomatoes. So the bees are gonna go back and forth and be able to actually, you know, grab onto that pollen. The pollen's gonna stick to them. They're gonna go to the other plant that's gonna stick to them. They're going back and forth. And that's how we're gonna get our tomatillos. I don't know. There's a lot of flowers. We don't have a whole lot of fruit yet, but we're getting there. Anyway, that's what I was saying. These gardens that are perfect, they don't have any insect damage, any insect pressure, any pest pressure, because they're using a lot of chemicals in order to make it look like that. What we do here is we work with nature because we're trying to be sustainable. We're not trying to make it look a certain way. We're trying to work with our environment to get the best yield while respecting our environment, so that we can do this again next year. If we wipe out the whole population of the pests, we're in essence wiping out our whole population of beneficial insects. When we do that, the whole garden suffers. So you gotta have to be okay with a little bit of damage, a little bit of pressure, a little bit of, anxiety, because that's being outside, We are gonna go inside real quick because I wanna show you guys the big box. Hopefully my camera's still recording. Let's take this in. Ow. Yeah, we're still recording. All right. Yeah, we got some country captain chicken cooking in here. It's gonna be delicious. Smells awesome. Got some curry powder. All right, so this is big box. This is where we're gonna be storing our potatoes, our beets possibly, our butternut squash over the winter. I've basically finished it. I still got a couple things that I need to tighten up. For example, I put some mesh in the holes here. These are bent holes that I have drilled through the box, drilled through the external foam to keep the ventilation proper, especially at the bottom. The biggest thing with an above ground root cellar, as this is making sure that the air on the bottom of the box doesn't become stagnant, because when that air on the bottom of the box becomes stagnant, it holds moisture and then it makes sure your root crops rot. So we got holes drilled all around the bottom and then on top, so we can create a chimney effect as those potatoes are releasing heat, carbon dioxide. It'll basically, the pine shavings we have here are going to be able to pull air through and up and out of the box. I was trying to make this as simple as possible, but of course it's over-engineered. That's what I do. I over-engineer stuff. But I wanted it to be as easy as possible to use. So I created a little clicky mechanism. It's a little latch here. And then there's a little foot on this side that pushes the lid out, this part out. Right here, it's a wedge. And when you push down on the push bar, it just pops right up. We got some struts on the back to push it up. They're each 100-pound struts, so they're very powerful. And then yesterday I put some foam spray all around the edges because we want to keep any type of critters out. Of course, we will have some space and gap at the top here, up top here. Not so much over here. I think I'm going to be trying, I don't have any more screws left. I'm going to be using a little bit of what I have left for this foam to close out this area. But we also have, like I said, at the front here, this is acting as another layer. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. What have I done? See, that's why I didn't want to put this stuff on this in this spot, because it's just foam, So anyway, this is where we're going to be storing our potatoes and all of our root stuff that we don't otherwise can. And I'm really proud of it. It came out looking really well, really good. Of course, some of it's janky. Ultimately, all this is a box made up of wood pallets and other reclaimed wood. And we turned it into this. That's what we do here at Beyond the Box Gardens. We try to use as much of waste as we can so we can upcycle things. We spend less money. We can customize how we want to. We know how it works, so we can customize it further and fix things that are broken if they do break. And we don't support the consumer infrastructure, the hyper-consumer infrastructure of capitalism. You know, there's so much stuff that we have access to now that we can do things without having to buy a whole bunch of stuff. Given I had to buy some stuff, but it was for a good reason, you know. We're gonna be keeping this thing out here in the garage, and you know, we won't have the ability to control the different bugs that may be in the garage. I know that we have a little mouse running around under the house somewhere that I'm trying to catch. So, you know, we gotta protect our crop as well as possible, because we don't want anything to get into our stuff and ruin our crops. You know, there's a lot of work to grow all this food, and we got to be able to store it properly. We will be getting some new mesh in today. That's basically just a window screen that I'll be putting over all the holes to add better ventilation. I had some other mesh, but the weave was too tight, so it wasn't going to allow the airflow to go through properly. But I'll be redoing that today later on. And then at a later time, I will be getting some more wood pallets so that we can make a curing station for the potatoes that we harvest. And we'll put that somewhere in here. But I'm gonna have to put a big piece of plywood over this window to block out all the light and keep this garage closed. So that we can cure our potatoes properly and they don't turn green and get crappy, you know, because we're gonna have a lot of potatoes. We're gonna have a lot of potatoes, and a little overwhelmed about it, but we're gonna deal with it. We're gonna be good. We're gonna be good. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Yellow Box Gardens. This has been Daniel. Out.